Oh, Ted, you mentioned some of the influences you had coming in to write the music for this band. I wonder, Craig, do you have any lyrical influences that you bring to the band?
Well, I mean, sure, it's the same stuff I've always listened to, which is Bruce Springsteen, Bob Dylan, Jim Carroll, the big, really literary rock guys. And hip-hop certainly informed me as well in that it's a real percussive and lyrical music, and it's really exciting, and sort of the dialogues back and forth that happen in hip-hop. So that's a real influence as well.
And you just guested on a Minneapolis hip-hop album recently, didn't you?
Yeah, I just did a track on the new POS record, which I believe comes out this winter. It's a lot of fun, and it's an artist I have a ton of respect for, so it's really exciting.
She got screwed up by revolution. She got screwed by soccer players. She got hyped for the first time in those camps down by the banks of the Mississippi River. Ah, to be 17 forever. She got confused by the truth. She got to in a confession. She got hyped for the last time in those camps down by the banks of the Mississippi River. Ah, to be 33 forever.
A lot of your songs are stories about characters. Yet the newest album, Separation Sunday, is mainly based on one character who makes appearances on an earlier album. I wonder why the motivation to dedicate an entire album to this one person's story.
Well, I think she moves the story. She moves through the story. There are other characters involved, and I think in future releases you might see more of them. But this was just a good sort of arc to tell this story. And a lot of what I was thinking about when I was writing the record was forgiveness and redemption and reconciliation, and Catholicism, and how Catholicism affects people who were raised Catholic who may not be practicing right now, such as myself. And I thought, well, to say I'm not a Catholic is a little incorrect, because I think after all the time I spent in the church, it affects me every day. So that was sort of the idea of following this one character and trying to illustrate that concept through a character's journey.
You've talked in other interviews about the middle, about straddling those two polar worlds. And in the case of Separation Sunday, it seems to be kind of the world of the seedy underbelly of the hipster life and that salvation. Is that a theme throughout a lot of your music? Do you plan to explore that more?
Yeah, I mean, I think that in general, it's not just like in religion or partying or whatever, which is, I guess, the two extremes I put on that record was a real, conservative Catholicism versus a crazy party lifestyle. I think in general that in our country right now, philosophically and politically, there's real extremes, and I think I guess one of the things I believe in is the middle, and moderation is I think what people should strive for rather than extremism.
Tad, is it fair to say that influences your musical styling as well, kind of straddling the two extremes of what pop music is?
Somewhat. I think really when it comes to the songs and the musical part of it, it's just kind of, somebody comes up with a burst of creativity, and we kind of hash it out from there and see where it goes. It's not, there certainly isn't nearly as much thought as in the music that goes into, I would say, the lyrics.
Suburban Minneapolis.
I want to ask you about a show you just did in Littleton, Colorado. You performed at a high school. I wonder if you could tell me a little bit about how that came about.
Yeah, the teacher of something called Freshman Academy in Littleton, Colorado, was listening to NPR and heard a piece on us. And he thought it would be great, the record would be a great way to teach his kids about literary illusions.
It sounds like there's an entire Hold Steady curriculum out there that's being used in Littleton.
Yeah, they did everything from math, geography, technology, and English, where they studied the lyrics very extensively. And so we got there, and there were 100 kids waiting outside. There was a kid on top of ledge playing Hood Rat on his guitar, and they were cheering. We got in. There's banners all over, and we performed this concert in their gymnasium, and it was really one of the most rewarding things we've been involved in. The kids were really excited, and it was amazing. I mean, looking out at them, you realize like what a tough age that is. And they didn't seem, to use the term at risk, I kept thinking like these kids seem just like nice kids. You realize at risk, as the teacher told me later, I think we're all at risk. And it was exciting because I think all of us in the band really found a positive thing in rock and roll at their age. And so to be able to connect on that level with these kids was really exciting. And it was really like one of the most awesome things about this tour. And it's certainly experience that's much different than your average night in rock and roll in a club.
Can you talk about anything forthcoming, any new albums you might have in the works right now?
We're going to try to release an album next year in the late spring, hopefully. And we're going to Australia in February, which is very exciting. And, more touring, more recording, more of the same. We've got a new vehicle, and we're excited to be out. So.
Well, Craig and Tad, thanks for coming down and talking to us before your gig here at First Avenue.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, good luck to you.
Thank you.